I am not a hopeless person. Although my world is a hopeless one, many people feel like they're destined to drown in a decaying cycle of attachment and pain. As people who want love, but at the same time don't want to emerge from behind a screen or step outside of their comfort zone. Sometimes these people lash out when things are too difficult and they're overwhelmed, and they push away even those few who they still care about. And they feel completely disconnected. And this feeling of disconnect is bafflingly growing in an era of technological reliance. The irony of this very video being a piece of digital media, not at all lost on me. Nonetheless, I think the technology that we use can have its place in moderation. What we need to fear is turning our own lives dystopian. The true community is not virtual. It's tangible and interpersonal. As author Robert D. Putnam wrote, what really matters from the point of view of social capital and civic engagement is not merely nominal membership, but active and involved membership. To put this in perspective, I can't just be said to be part of community, said to be someone who lives in my town, said to be someone who attends a given church, but I'm not really there, not really taking part in it. I'm just lurking, trying to use a digital behavior, an online way of being in person. It's not always adaptable. What I'm saying is you can't fully replicate this experience of being connected in a digital space, not even in the harrowing vision of some fully immersive virtual reality. Sitting in a pregame lobby, you might have a deep conversation with your friends. That is, of course, real. Nonetheless, you're separated from the adventure of life in a still meaningful way. I've not yet pinned down exactly how this happens. Maybe it's something core to our humanity. The interior is our means of shelter, but it's not in its entirety our natural habitat. Doom scrolling, that is, endlessly perusing one source of media, especially short-form content, and then hopping to another for another stream of stimulation, it's not conducive to healthy brain function. Studies have even shown damages to our circadian rhythms as a result of this. And that'll result in agitation, and again, further disruptions in how we connect with others. We should fear becoming like characters from the sci-fi stories we consume. Let's take to recalling the series Serial Experiments Lain. In it, Lain is a depressed and uninvolved schoolgirl who, following the suicide of a cyberbullied classmate, delves into the digital world. Lain finds a manic sense of godhood in the digital space, though this has to be built up to. The dreamlike story has her worst attributes inflamed in the world of the wired: cynicism, mockery, self-loathing, and egomania. It quickly became something not used as a coping strategy for her shut-in self, but the dominant force of her life. All she desired were more elaborate upgrades and further separation from the outside world, which itself became overrun with technology. I think this is replicated by the collection of stimuli through various social media platforms. Some sort of online vainglory. Where all of this hits home for me is that I have several clinically depressed friends. In fact, as I write this script, I realize I have only 2 friends who I'm not aware of having attempted or seriously contemplated suicide. While I've met the majority of these friends, several of them I first met online. One, whom I knew only in person, actually took his life a few years ago. I was unaware of his mental state at the time, and there was no talk about it. I was a teenager then, and of course I was knee-deep in a game, actually, when my mother came in and broke the news to me. What I didn't know is that 4 of the friends I was playing with that day, all 4 of them, would undergo, or were at that time undergoing, a dire depression of which I was blissfully unaware. 3 of those friends would attempt suicide at one point or another. 3 would be treated by mental health professionals on account of their mental disorders. And 2, for a time, would be committed. the digital world. Maybe it puts a drain on people through the expectations of reality that it gives them. Maybe aspects of life, such as boredom or discomfort, have grown too alien. Maybe basic human interaction, feeling elusive or distant, has pushed us into a space where it feels as unreal as the environments in which we so often spoke. Maybe on some unconscious level, we've grown to think of love as something for characters, or for the lucky few with money and exceptional looks. Imagine a society that subjects people to the conditions that make them terribly unhappy, then gives them the drugs to take away their unhappiness. Science fiction is already happening to some extent in our own society. Instead of removing the conditions that make people depressed, modern society gives them antidepressant drugs. In effect, antidepressants are a means of modifying an individual's internal state in such a way as to enable him to tolerate social conditions that he would otherwise find intolerable. I should also say that the translation of an online friendship into a tangible and personal connection is something meaningful, something worthwhile. Even just sitting there, crashing at a mutual friend's house, there's more of a connection than the online world could ever offer. I'd take that living room, decorated with spent beer cans and pizza boxes again, than 100 more lobbies constructed out of ones and zeros.